East Coast munchies.
Today we're going to make one of my absolute favorite things for breakfast, a good old bagel. You're going to start off with 2 3/4 cups warm water in a bowl. And then add 5 tablespoons of brown or white sugar. I prefer brown, there's a much better flavor. And then 2 tablespoons of active dry yeast. Give that mixture a thorough mix and let sit for a good 10 minutes until you can tell everything's active and it puffs up nicely. Then in a larger bowl, you'll add 7 cups of bread flour. Today, I replaced 2 of those cups with whole wheat flour for a better flavor, but feel free to use whatever you have. Even all-purpose flour will work just fine. Pour in your yeast mixture and add about 3 teaspoons of salt. Then mix this together however you like. I like to just use my hand. Move everything around until the liquid and flour combine and you have a rough, shaggy dough. Then you can turn that out on a lightly floured work surface, and then grab another cup of flour of your choice, and get it ready to slowly start kneading in and mixing into the dough. You'll want to keep kneading and adding that flour in until your dough comes together into a nice smooth ball and is no longer sticky. Takes roughly about 10 minutes until your dough's where you want it to be. At this point, you'll want to grab a bowl, cover it in olive oil, place your dough inside, cover the top with a damp cloth or saran wrap, and let it sit out for about an hour or so. It'll double in size and you'll be ready to go. You'll then turn that big piece of fluffy dough out on a slightly floured surface. I like to elongate it slightly, makes it easier for me to cut. I usually cut in half and then half again. With this recipe, you can make anywhere from 12 to 15 bagels. If you like them big, stick with 12. If you don't mind them a little smaller, try cutting it into 15 pieces. Once you have all your pieces cut, you're going to want to grab a piece and fold all the edges and corners inwards onto itself. I then flip it over, give the bottom a squeeze, and kind of push it up into itself. You'll then slap your dough ball down on your surface and gently roll it around with your hand like this. You'll then set it aside and do that with the rest of your dough. I then let these rest for about 10 minutes while I prepare my baking trays and silicone mats. If you don't have those, it's just fine. Use parchment instead. Then to make your dough balls into actual bagels. You'll want to grab one of your balls and slowly pinch your thumb and pointer finger through the middle until they meet and rub around until they break through. At that point, you can rub your fingers through and start turning and moving them until it opens up. And keep rolling the bagel around with your fingers until you have a large hole. The second they rest, the hole will shrink quite a bit, so you'll want to make sure it's pretty big. After you have all your bagels formed, you'll want to heat up a large pot of water and add 1/3 cup of molasses. A lot of people also use honey or malt syrup. I just prefer molasses. It has a really nice flavor and helps create a real nice crust on the bagels. Mix it thoroughly and turn that heat up and wait for the water to boil. Then you'll be ready to start chucking your bagels in. Once your water's hot enough, you can start dropping your bagels in. Try not to overcrowd the pot. I like to just do 2 or 3 bagels at a time. And you'll want to boil them for about a single minute on each side. Have a clock near you, or even better yet, run a stopwatch. If you overboil your bagels, they'll get very waterlogged and mushy and pretty much unedible. So don't forget about them, don't walk away. Try to keep it to a solid minute on each side. Once they're done, I'd like to set them on drying racks just to help make sure the bottoms don't get soggy. But if you don't have drying racks, that's fine. Put them all on a tray. Just try not to let them sit too long. Maybe flip them over after a few minutes. After they're all boiled off, set up your sheet trays again with either parchment or silicone mats. Give a healthy serving of cornmeal on the bottoms, just to be sure they don't stick, and it adds a nice texture to the bottom. Then you'll want to prepare a little egg wash with just an egg and a little bit of water whipped up good, and brush it across all the tops of your bagels. It'll create that nice shiny crust that you look for in a bagel, and helps anything stick that you want to top your bagels with. My favorite type of bagel is an everything bagel. You can easily make some of your own everything bagel seasoning with some sesame seeds, sea salt, dried minced garlic, dried minced onion, black sesame seeds, and some poppy seeds. In this mixture, I even added some of my homemade smoked dehydrated onion powder for some extra flavor. Feel free to top them with whatever you want, leave them plain, maybe just add a little bit of salt, really depends on what you're going to put on them. And once you're finished topping them to your liking, you'll want to preheat your oven to about 400 degrees, and I put them in for around 20-25 minutes until they're nice and brown golden on top. I also like to rotate them about halfway through in the oven just to make sure they cook evenly. And there you go, you'll have a bunch of delicious bagels to last you throughout the week. Eat them in the morning for breakfast, make some breakfast sandwiches for dinner, use them as burger buns, do whatever you want with them. They also make great sandwiches too. They're nice and crispy on the outside and fluffy and bready on the inside. They're great plain, and they're great with a little bit of cream cheese on them, fresh out of the toaster. That's my favorite way to eat them. Nice fat globs of cream cheese all the way across. I hope you enjoy. I hope you make some awesome bagels at home. Share them with your friends and family. Let me know in the comments what you make them for or what you eat them with. Like if you like bagels. And subscribe for more recipes.